We were celebrating 90 years since the discovery of the tomb of Tutankhamun, and as you just heard the Minister of Tourism, still there are calls to come to Egypt, particularly to Luxor, where you can enjoy the amazing monuments, and it's actually an amazing city. Let's get back to politics, and as we mentioned in the beginning of this edition of the program, we are going to be discussing the first phase of the referendum on the country's new constitution. The first phase took place yesterday. The polling stations opened at 8 a.m. Cairo local time and closed at 11 p.m. Cairo local time. According to reports, despite the complaints, despite the reports of complaints, still the participation was huge, the turnout was huge, and what everyone noticed was the strength of Egyptian women. So we will be discussing this issue and much more with our guest today, Dr. Ahmed Usaima, political analyst. Thank you very much for being with us, Dr. Ahmed, this morning.
The pleasure is mine.
Good morning, Dr. Usaima.
Good morning.
First of all, I need you to shed some light on the timing of the referendum, because there was a lot of debate and divisions among that particular timing. A referendum that comes amid demonstrations and divisions without enough time for people to read the booklet of this project called the Constitution, that nearly 80% of the Egyptians are not aware of what's being inside that booklet. So how do you see that step taken now?
A lot of debates and a critical political environment during this new proposed constitution referendum. And as we know that the political groups, a lot of complaints, a lot of calls, a lot of arguments about this proposed constitution, and a lot of initiatives without any compromises to get a common ground between the political groups and the presidential organization. For the constitution, for sure it was a very tight time. We had before this step the presidential declaration to sorry, to pass through this referendum. A lot of complaints from the withdrawal members of the Constitutional Assembly was trying to get more time for any kind of amendments, to have time of negotiations and discussions. But in fact, all of the political groups, they didn't find any common ground and a common interest for all of them. As well, the president started to call for the referendum. It was a very tight time, yes. As we know, the Constitutional Court and what's happened before the 2nd of December, so they want to move a step for the transitional period to pass through the transitional period after refusing or approving the proposed constitution. In fact, a lot of the political groups, liberals and the other camp, started to call for civic disobedience, to boycott the referendum. But after a long time of all of these actions, they started to say, no, we have to participate. All of the debates around the referendum, for sure it brings out a lot of questions and fears from the people, from the Egyptian community. And we know that we have at least 40% of the population illiterate citizens. So first of all, we have a lack of knowledge, we have a lack of education, and it's like the KG1 of democracy in Egypt. We are still in the first phase of democracy. The transitional period still moving. We didn't finish the transitional period yet. So we found the participation yesterday, it's different from place to another. We found, as you mentioned, the women participation yesterday. It was really amazing to find the Egyptian women started to be positive more than before and to take actions. So we are still awaiting for a new transitional period. We are still awaiting for the culture of democracy, which is now the people are, the confrontations between the politicians and the political parties, it looks like it was the final competition or the final game between all of them. We have to know that after these revolutions, kind of revolutions everywhere, it took time for the transitional period. We have a citizens' revolutions. So after a long time of many kind of dictatorships, as I'm always saying, that it took time after a dictatorship to be a dictatorship and democracy, like a figure of democracy, and the transitional period of the democracy, it took time. So we are still in need for knowing the culture of democracy and to believe in it. Like, for instance, the people in power today could be in the minorities tomorrow. The people who gained the election last time, maybe in the next time they will fail. And the governmental procedures and decisions for the country will build up the more confidence with people to convince them to continue, or another group will be in charge. So it will take time. We are still in need for more awareness of the political democratic actions and how to accept to lose or win. We're still facing the confrontations between the people. It was a critical time, blood, violence, a lot of new behaviors of the Egyptian societies. So we are still awaiting for more, the political environment to be more calm and to be more at ease better than now.
And Dr. Osama, let me convey to you the point of view of some of the people. Now, they said that despite all the respect they paid for the status or the reaction of the judges or some judges to boycott the election, saying that there is no absolute reason that the president should be over the judiciary for the demonstration or the strike before the Supreme Constitutional Court, and they made a statement saying that they will boycott the elections. For some people, they said, well, okay, we respect your decision, but after the referendum became a fact and it's going to happen, shouldn't you as judges have came to the polling stations to protect our voices as Egyptian citizens?
Yes.
With all respect to your stance?
Surely what's going around brings more awareness to people. For the judges, yes, a lot of calls for the boycott of the constitution. But now we are still in the operation. And it's better for the society to find them controlling the procedures for the transparency and accuracy, that there are no fraud in this referendum and the votes.
For this point of view, they were saying that putting the people's interest or the Egyptian interest is above everything. So that was the message they were trying to convey.
Sure, because if we want a peaceful, transitional, democratic system, we have to take actions. Now we are, in fact, now we have the referendum. So we need just to make sure that it's transparent, it's everything is going in the right direction, there are no fraud, to convince the people that the transitional period is in the right way. There are no groups are trying to control the country above the rule of law, which is very important to the people. We are looking for the new Egypt in a democratic system with the rule of law for all of the Egyptian groups. Without these legal procedures of the transitional period, we will have, I hope it will not happen, more of violence and more of blood and more of and new different situations in Egypt. I don't like to see this kind of a prova of the civil war now. So I hope that the transitional period will be more peaceful. So we are in need for the right way of the transitional period. And if there are any kind of frauds or any kind of things will destroy the transitional period, the judges, they have to be clear and to announce and disseminate their thoughts about what's happened 1, 2, 3, 4. So we are in need for a positive actions, a positive participation from all of the Egyptian societies, authorities, from everybody.
Well, Dr. Ahmed Osama, member of the Egyptian Council for Foreign Affairs, let's all cross our hands praying for a better future that really is worth of this graceful revolution that lots of martyrs have fell as a result in order to bring freedom to this country.
I hope
And
so. All of
wish
us
all the
are
best for
praying and
Egypt.
willing for Egypt to be a better country for all of us, for everybody. Egypt is the land of civilization. Egypt is Egypt.
Right.
Well, I thank you very much, sir,
much.
for being with us this morning. Unfortunately, our time is up. Thank you very much, Dina.
My pleasure.
It's always a pleasure being with you. And thank you all dear audience for being with us this morning. You can stay tuned. The French transmission is coming up right after this.